Richard.
Yes, Paul.
I'm still figuring out where I am.
You're here.
Where am I?
You're here.
Okay, so you and I are recording at a studio.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and that's good. It's good to see you. Hello.
Good to see you too, Paul.
We're not alone. We're gonna explain that too in a minute.
Yes, we are.
But there's a very brief announcement we should make that's completely humiliating. Are you ready to make it?
I love being humiliated.
Great. We are changing the name of this podcast for the third time. No, this is the fourth time we've changed the name because I'm going to give a really potted history, which is we weren't quite sure what we were doing, and you and I missed having a podcast because we sold the agency where we had the podcast before. So we started Ziotti and Ford Advisors.
Shout out to Josh Teringel.
Yes, thank you. He gave us a good name. Then we renamed it, and we called it the Aboard Podcast because we were really committed to this company.
Yeah.
But then we renamed it to Reckless, REQLESS, the podcast about how enterprise software is changing and changing and changing.
In the world of AI.
In the world of AI, because reckless means no more requirements. We explain that every single week, and nobody really locked into it. And finally, we decided, I like it. I liked reckless. I thought that was a good name.
It's a good name.
But we're going to take it back, make it simple. And so welcome back, friends, to the Aboard Podcast with the slightly updated branding. But it's very similar content. A lot of AI, but not just AI. We talk about other things. And we're at a studio right now. We're leveling it up, which means I'm not quite sure where to look. I'll look at you, just like this.
Don't look at me. Do not look at me. Welcome to the Aboard Podcast, software in the age of AI.
We're glad you're here, and we're about to play that theme song. Radically different.
Finally.
Than previous themes. Okay, that's enough about us. That is enough. I don't want to talk about us ever again. Ever. Okay, and so today we have a very special guest.
You do.
Patrick Austin. Patrick, you are the editor of the cherished publication, IT Brew.
Hi, Paul. Hi, Rich.
Hello. Good to see you, Patrick.
Good to have you.
We know Patrick.
I don't actually remember how I met you.
I cold emailed you.
Awesome. That's exactly the way I've met someone. I think Rich cold emailed me.
I didn't.
No, that's true. But
yeah.
many good friends have people become good friends have cold emailed me. And I'm going to remember. I have a very cherished memory of Patrick, which is he showed
14 years ago.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. You showed up when we opened our last agency, Postlight. You showed up with a bottle of booze. You everybody else was kind of everybody there, and somebody stole it. I never told you that. Somebody stole the booze. I never got to drink it. But everybody else showed up to see what they could get, and you showed up with a gift. And it was just, I still remember it as one of the sweetest things in the world. And I'm just going to make sure everybody knows that about Patrick. So you've been an editor and a writer in many, many different places.
Correct.
People can actually look at the bio that will be with the podcast, but you have been around the world of technology and around New York City publishing for many, many years. And now you edit a team, and the team is part of the Morning Brew empire.
Correct.
I'm just telling you about your life.
That's fine.
So that we can sort of just get rid of that and just get to something interesting. No, and you publish a newsletter. It's called IT Brew. Your team produces it, and it is about the world of information technology, old school, big systems, so on and so forth, enterprise software, which is why I'm very excited you're here, because we're all about enterprise software. It's very important. So tell me what I got wrong. Tell me just help the audience know kind of what you're actually about, and correct me if I got anything.
Let's see.
You've met Rich.
Hi, Rich.
Hello, Patrick. How many brews are there, by the way?
Ooh, that is a great question. I wonder if I can name them all.
Oh, come on. Let's do it. We can always pause and edit.
That's weird. Cut right here. We got Morning Brew proper.
Okay.
We've got IT Brew, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Some would say the crown jewel.
The crown jewel.
Marketing Brew, for all things marketing.
Mm-hmm.
CFO Brew, which I believe is one of our newer additions.
Absolutely. I have that one tattooed on my chest.
Retail Brew.
Mm-hmm.
Things retail. Surprisingly interesting. I didn't think I would find retail so fascinating.
Retail is fascinating.
Yeah.
What do you find fascinating about retail?
It's this strange combination of dealing with people, because you need people in retail for most physical retail, and the management of all of these different, facets of retail, inventory management, security, stuff like that. Like, I find it super complex in a way that I am grateful not to be a part of.
I get that. We have a friend who's doing stuff like starting up restaurants, and listening to him describe his requirements is wild.
It's hallucination.
You've dealt with some restaurant implementation stuff recently.
Yeah, it's just it's one of the most dynamic environments to be in, right? It's chaos, it's weird edge, it's all edge cases. There is no normal retail. I mean, there can be occasionally, but it's really all your energy goes into the chaos around retail because humans are chaotic, and that's a part of it. Let me guess one. Screensaver brew.
Screensaver.
I don't think there are any screensavers really anymore, are there?
Oh, shucks.
It's just Apple goes to that.
I just dated myself.
Yeah, no.
Okay. Is that it? Is it about 10, dozen? Or there's many more?
There's a few more. Healthcare brew.
Okay.
I actually think that might be our newest one. Emerging tech brew, now tech brew.
Because it emerged.
Because it
emerged. It's here.
Yeah.
Every 17 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think the one we're launching, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this. We're launching a new one.
Great.
Soon.
Well, if you're allowed to say it, we can link it.
Sure.
Okay, you can tell us.
Yeah.
So IT Brew, do any of the other ones have funny headlines?
Yes.
Okay, because people need to know, IT Brew has actually ridiculous headlines. And I've written back, I'll reply every now and then to the newsletter and be like, really great headline. And your boss will be like, and he doesn't know I know you, and he'll just be like, that's Patrick Austin, over and over and over again. I've done it like 7 times. And we'll find some other good examples and we'll link them. But they're just like, just imagine the worst possible pun about enterprise software delivered into your inbox in a way that actually makes you feel like a little bad. And it's great. It's really good.
I have to ask, is IT enterprise software? Like, IT, I feel like, call the IT guy, the Wi-Fi's down, isn't necessarily enterprise
Geek
software.
Squad kind of stuff.
Yeah, like what?
Sure.
Let's go to give us 2 minutes on the etymology of IT,
and also kind of what's your beat. Like that's
Sure. Well, I think calling the IT guy is enterprise, because if you're calling the IT guy, there's an infrastructure around you built by someone that is not you, which would be whoever you're working for. And I assume they would style themselves an enterprise of a sort.
Right.
But yeah, I definitely think IT is key to enterprise, to the enterprise in general, because of how much of business is done online, how much data is exchanged with each other, and how secure or insecure it all is. It's very precarious. It seems very sort of cobbled together in a way, and it kind of it makes me make that face and I'm just like, this could fall apart at any moment,
You've correctly defined enterprise software.
It's kind of a house of cards.
Tell us some of the big players. Like, are we talking Salesforce? Are we talking Cisco? What is your world?
We're talking Salesforce. We're talking Cisco. We're talking Cloudflare. We're talking CrowdStrike.
Have you been to Dreamforce?
No, I would love to go to Dreamforce.
What the hell? You're an editor. They don't junket you out to Dreamforce.
I send them out. I send my team of intrepid reporters out.
You're a parent now. You don't get to go to Europe for a fun trip. You have to.
Wish.
Okay.
We've got people going to Black Hat, RSA conference, CES, AWS Reignite, Reinforce.
I wouldn't worry about it.
I think those are all real.
Yeah,
no, those all sound legit. Yeah.
Okay, so how big's your team, by the way?
Got about 4 reporters.
Okay, and you guys seem to publish how many stories a day? It's a lot.
A couple a day. We try to aim for 15 a week or so, 15 to 20 a week. Our newsletter runs 4 times a week. We've got an extra newsletter, our IT Brew Cybersecurity Edition, runs twice a month. Yeah.
What I love is you get every now and then they'll send one and it'll be sort of like you have to click here if you're still reading.
Yeah.
Yeah. They
Love that.
It's like a blank white page.
No, they're just like they're like don't just
put your thumb on the letter F on your keyboard.
Just jiggle the mouse a little bit.
Yeah.
I would appreciate it.
Don't stop pretending that you're reading this. You read this.
Yeah. I've been in IT. I don't say that because it's not as cool at a party.
Fun time's over, Patrick.
Fun time's over. I've been in. What do you do for? I'm in IT. I don't say that. I say digital transformation guy. Right. Big things are happening. But let's face it. I think you're kind of nailing it. When you go to work, you use stuff that you wouldn't use otherwise because you have to use it to get the work done. And the world, I mean, entire economies have been built around these tools that are, whether you call them enterprise software or IT or whatever it may be, it is a world. And then the spaceship landed. And that spaceship is AI, right? And do we feed the aliens? Are the aliens here to kill us? How long have you been at IT Brew? How long have you been?
Over 3 years. I'm the founding editor, so I started.
You started IT Brew.
Yeah, they brought me on to start.
And timing wise, has the AI spaceship landed yet?
It was. You could sort of see it on the horizon.
Yeah.
You know, it was like that asteroid predictor.
Yeah.
2.3%, 5.7%.
Where are we at with that, by the way?
Hopefully it's a lot closer. Hopefully it's a lot closer to 100.
You're just like, I want this done with. Yeah.
Okay, so it wasn't like, oh my God, this is changing everything yet.
Not yet. You can definitely see like the pitches come in and the stories go out, just like as more and more money was invested in it. And from my perspective, as a thinking about it from an IT perspective, I'm like, this could be very interesting.
Yeah.
You could have huge amounts of like data. Service logs and stuff like that analyzed by a robot that will do it a lot faster than your dozen-person IT team that has to comb through all of it and look for any sort of weird behavior.
But let's specifically. I mean, obviously, I'm thinking about it from like just a pure sort of it landing on everyone's consciousness, even non-technical people.
Sure.
ChatGPT landing and it's pretend typing back at you and it's really good was a moment. That's late. That's after you had started IT Brew.
Correct.
Okay.
But that's a very non-enterprise experience.
No, I know, but I want to get Patrick's read on like, oh boy. Like, tell me your reaction when that thing lands and it's like starting to consume all the headlines around tech.
But let me also, the way that I understand you experiencing the world is people, you have a team and they have to go do stories and there's a few things that are obvious, but a lot of it is just PR, just like attacking you. Like
totally.
Things are like, so the way that you would be hearing about AI in this space first, like you might see some articles about it, you might talk to some people about it, but literally every PR person in the world is going to be going, we have now enabled our blah, blah, blah.
That took a minute. How did it play out? Because you're not the consumer side where people can spend a little bit of money and talk to the robot. How did it play out? What was your initial instinct around what was happening?
I wanted to avoid it, frankly.
Interesting.
Just because, like initially, I was, you see the ChatGPT and OpenAI stuff, and you're like, well, this is like a computer trying to talk to me. This is like giving me nonsense words.
Bots are back.
It's your AIM chatbot from 1998. Come back to haunt you.
You're a gamer, right? You've seen
I sure am.
AI-style ridiculous technology chatting for years.
So you were unimpressed initially.
Unimpressed in the sense that we've had these technologies before. They weren't called AI technologies. They were called procedural generation technologies. Mm-hmm. So you'd have software that would, make the, you're playing some video game, some Skyrim or whatever, walking through some wasteland or whatever. You're not going to model all of these stick trees that are been blown away by some nuclear blast or whatever. You're going to use a tool called Speed Tree, where you feed it your parameters. You say make 1,000 trees, and it makes all these 1,000 trees based on the parameters you've set. It's procedural generation.
Is there really a tool called Speed Tree?
It's called Speed Tree.
Oh yeah, that stuff's cool.
This podcast
really
is
great.
over. We're gonna go play.
Oh no, like all the mountains and streams and trees. You see, nobody's sitting there sketching those out.
Well, I'm aware of that, but I didn't know it was called Speed Tree. That's really cool.
There's Speed Tree, Speed Mountain, Speed. Yeah, There's a whole.
How do you guys know all about the different speed now?
It pops up when you load your game or whatever. All the middleware pops up and shows you.
Really?
Yeah. So you have like the developer, guy in Boxers Incorporated or whatever, and then you have all the tools that they use.
I'm so jealous right now.
I'm like secretly, I love Blender and 3D modeling and stuff. I've always kind of kept an eye on it.
I wouldn't say it's a secret.
Okay. All right. So you're not impressed.
I am not impressed by generative AI in the form of ChatGPT and text generation, image generation, video generation.
Okay.
I'm not impressed with that.
You're saying that present tense. You're still not impressed?
I am. No, because they're doing it in a way that is immoral and unethical. Sure, I could solve the cure for cancer if I could, gather a bunch of humans in a room and experiment on them for 100 years or whatever. But we have rules that prevent that.
Did you have you had a moral and ethical reaction when you first saw these tools?
Yes, because I'm a writer.
Wow. Okay, so that's where we are. What about
code and consulting?
I want to hear about both of it. There's an impact on industry,
sure.
Which will park the moral and ethical end of it. Obviously, there's no way we can deny that it is having a profound impact in a lot of different ways. And I do want to hear your perspective on the ethical and moral side of it as well.
I don't want to sound like I'm completely 100% anti-AI. I think there are many aspects of AI specifically suited for, I think it's perfectly suited for enterprise stuff. I think it's a great idea. Use it to detect anomalous network activity.
We can slide the money across the table now because this is exactly what we think too. I keep going. I'm sorry, just for
many
for
useful
bosses,
context.
We're not sliding any money across the table.
I mean, use it for endpoint security on your client side devices or whatever. If there's weird activity, use it to support zero trust login systems and stuff like that to detect if you're logging in from I don't know, some France or something, and you're based in Milwaukee, Wisconsin or whatever.
So monitoring.
It's all about monitoring and detecting weird behavior.
Okay.
And I think that is where the magic happens. There's certain stuff you can use it for coding when it comes to like drafting code and stuff like that. But again, it goes into another issue I have with AI, which is the fact that it's not, my issue with artificial intelligence is it's not intellect. It's using sort of weighted calculations and the data to spit out something that would satisfy you, that it thinks will satisfy you. So if I ask it to generate some code, what guarantee do I have that this code is accurate or even usable? It's just based on a billion lines of code it's already seen. And it's sort of like, this looks right.
It's a clever database.
It's a clever database.
Yeah.
So,
but is that an ethical question or is that a I'm not impressed question? I mean, a reaction, I should say.
It is a
or both.
It's overhyped, in my opinion, in that regard.
In the code gen.
In the code gen, it works.
Yeah.
A lot of the time.
Yeah.
But I think it is somewhat overhyped.
Okay. Explain that.
I mean, if I ask it to generate some code, I still have to like check its work. It's like asking your kid to make dinner, and you're like, you sure you put enough salt in here?
The chicken's kind of pink.
Chicken's kind of pink in the middle.
In the middle, yeah.
So like, there are definitely, and I'm sure it'll get better or whatever. There will be some checks and balances. That's what they're spending all this money on. Well, they're spending all the money, on lawyers. But I imagine
they're definitely not spending it on writers.
If that does, do you have? I want to get to the ethical piece soon. Do you have ethical questions with the generating code or moral questions?
I think the generation of
that seems to be your line.
Is my line.
Explain that.
It's if I'm generating text, right, and I'm OpenAI, I go to Paul Ford, author of the amazing novel Gary Benchley, Rockstar.
Oh boy, that's a deep cut. Thank you.
And I say, Paul, I'll give you $1,000 if you let us use this book to train our model.
Paul can make that call.
That's like $100 for everyone who read the book.
There you go. That's a steal. He says yes. Cool. So now every time I ask it to make me a sandwich, it talks about fretboards and guitar strings or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
They're essentially to get to the level they're at now. They've essentially stolen so much information and data. They're not paying anybody. They're not paying for the copy. They're violating copyright law. They're stealing from artists.
They're ingesting everything.
They're ingesting everything.
I mean, it seems very likely that like Meta just ate all of that giant Russian archive of like all the books, all the papers.
Is that true?
Yeah, that was supposed to be the kind of like, the little secret library that, if you needed a research paper or whatever and you're an undergrad with no money, you were supposed to get it. And then they just went and were like, oh man, we got all the books right here.
And they just slurped it all up.
Yeah, I'm not super clear on that, but that is definitely sort of what's so for you, you're like, that is my line. I don't want to use this stuff because it just kind of helped itself without taking care of anybody else.
Correct. And it's wrong a lot of the time. Yeah, true, it's super incorrect. Companies are, if you've got like Google and Microsoft pushing it out before it's ready, and you're like, how many rocks can I eat every day? And Google's like, here you go. It's really half-baked. And I think it's a sign of a lack of sort of innovation and creativity from these companies in the Gen AI space. And I find it very disheartening what they want the end result to be is, which is no more creatives. No more creatives. Just
churn stuff out.
I am Stanley Kubrick. Because I typed "make 2001 Space Odyssey" into OpenAI Sora, and it makes some video of like some weird twisted video.
Yeah, but then the monkeys are all Lego, so that's cool.
The monkeys are all Lego, so it is cool. Yeah, that's my issue. You want to ethically source your data, to go for it, and then you can be like, hey, write me a story to put my kid to sleep or whatever.
Right. They've sort of unilaterally just unleashed it. It's ingested. That's why you got these lawsuits. Like New York Times is suing. I think many other publishers are also suing. Some are signing deals. I think Bezos, the Washington Post, signed a deal.
I think Vox Media also signed a deal.
Fox signed a deal to like.
No, I think there will be. Look, this to me. We wrote about this at one point, which is that as Anthropic is going to the universities and saying, I have Anthropic for education, the universities are in a really strong position to say, that sounds great. We need structured ways to bring AI into these universities like us big universities, us state schools and whatever, but I need to know the provenance of everything. I need a clear citation trail before I can give this to a bunch of undergrads. Can you provide that? The answer today does appear to be no. Like they just kind of grabbed everything.
Yeah.
And so I think I would prefer that. I would prefer litigation protection and a clear provenance for the stuff that goes into the beast.
I think this is going to ultimately end up being a negotiation between either sign a deal, here's some money, and you say, no, I want more. And they'll say, well, no, we did it anyway. And I was like, well, I'll sue you. And then they sue them, and then we waste a bunch of money on lawyers, and then which eventually ends up in a settlement anyway, right?
Sure.
Like, I think ultimately this sort of levels out with money. Sadly,
we're not going to individual creators, but to large corporate rights holders.
Well, I mean, rights holders, they're all bucketed anyway, right? I mean, that exists today.
So wait, I want to take this in a slightly different direction, which is, okay, here is Patrick. Patrick looks at this and he sees a little bit of the void. He's like, oh boy, here we go again. Now,
Patrick's a writer too, and he works with writers, so I think that probably colors some of your sentiment.
I completely get it, right? Like and I'm not necessarily. I don't even think Richard and I are very far from you. What I'm actually seeing is like, now you have this job, and you have to tell the story of the IT industry back to CTOs and CIOs, and your job has advertisers from giant companies who are probably all in on AI, excited to tell you about it. How do you triangulate that, right? Because you need to keep your team aligned with what you believe to be true and real. And you also have to make sure that the advertisers aren't alienated by your product. And they're not. Like, I see the coverage. It's funny. It's bright. It's not afraid to be critical. Like, it's a classic publication. So, like, talk about how you manage that on a day-to-day basis.
I really just strive to give it to you straight.
Mm-hmm.
The good, the bad, the ugly, like all of it. I don't want to mischaracterize anything or mislead anyone with our reporting. We write a lot about code generating AI, and we talk to people who are pro that. who say, yes, it helps. We move a little faster, stuff like that.
More productive.
We're more productive, all of that stuff. I also talk about the negatives, which is that, things happened last year. Samsung employees getting in trouble because they're putting proprietary code into these AI systems, and the AI system is eating it and incorporating it into itself.
Wait, I missed this, even though I'm an IT Brew very loyal subscriber. So wait, what? So
you should bookmark it.
I should. Well, no, I get it in the.
It's not your homepage.
I get it in my mail. It comes in the email.
Homepage.
So wait. Okay, so what happened?
They were the print edition.
Please. I like the centerfold. So tell me about what. So Samsung just started like using.
Some developers start using the code generating aspects of these AI models. It's taking that code and incorporating it into its model, its language model or whatever. Because it has to, because it's talking to you about it. It's responding to your code. So it has to be able to adjust based on your inputs.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not code that Samsung wants to feed to an AI model.
Mm-hmm.
So, now there's systems in place where these companies are do not feed code into these models. We're making our own internal models that you can feed this code into.
Interesting. So that's what. So at a scale like Samsung, they're like, we're just going to have our own little universe. You're not going. No, it's not going to talk to anybody else, and we're going to have our own stuff.
A ton of these companies are doing it. PricewaterhouseCoopers is doing it.
No, I love those guys
because they're afraid of folding in code that isn't theirs.
They're afraid of folding in code that isn't theirs. They're afraid of the copyright issues that would pop up if they fold in stuff that they haven't acquired, through sort of legit means. They want to be sure that the data that is in there is the data that they want to be in there.
Got it.
I wonder if the big AI companies end up creating these models that are kind of like aligned with stuff like this sort of like, oh, here's the base model you can build up from, and you can work with this, and here's every single source that's in here, and we've vetted everything, and the lawyers give you a big thumbs up, because I think that is a valuable product. I would not get. We have a friend of ours gave us a big spreadsheet of really valuable information, and I would not upload that to one of the big LLMs. Like, it's just too risky, right? Because it's stuff that's really proprietary to his company. But he wants to experiment with analyzing that data with AI and sort of the log file kind of stuff. And it's a real quandary because it's not my own. Like, I think this is real. Like, I got really into DeepSeek for a minute, but it's like I wouldn't give it my email, right? Like, I wouldn't. So there are these boundaries.
Yeah, I feel like we're in a moment right now where there's been such a dramatic commoditization that's happened almost instantly that is going to take us a minute. First off, it's like stages of grief. Like it's first we're appalled by it, and then we're sort of trying to figure out how to, and then eventually we sort of embrace it. I'm not happy about the fact that musicians make very little money today. I'm not sure how much money they made when there were record labels, except for the superstars anyway.
Sure.
But that's not to diminish the fact that the economics exploded in like over a few years. Napster on down, the game changed entirely. And I think it makes me think of, it's a weird analogy, but I'll say it anyway. Taxi medallions, like taxi medallions.
Sorry, continue. I was going to say the same thing about Uber. It reminds me of Uber and how Uber grew.
I mean, there was a day when I think it was a couple $1,000,000 to own a New York City taxi medallion because you could work off of it for 40 years until you retired.
But the people who owned all the medallions were such good people.
Well, that's the other thing. Is like they were
Salt of the earth.
Yeah, exactly. It wasn't the drivers.
Simple country medallion portfolio owners.
No, it's true. I mean, fair, but at the same
time, that one guy who had a bar mitzvah for his daughter where they invited. It was like Mariah Carey. No, it wasn't.
Yeah, he owned like 1 million medallions. He owned like a bunch of medallions. Yeah,
it wasn't Mariah Carey.
I worked in a law firm for like 3 minutes before I got into tech, and we represented medallion owners.
It was Nicki Minaj. Nicki Minaj. If you search Nicki Minaj bar mitzvah, you are in for a treat.
Well, that's
in for a treat.
First off, incognito, but no, but there is an image that is it's just 13-year-old boys standing around Nicki Minaj. It's very funny.
Yeah.
The reason I'm saying all this is we can be upset and offended and it's totally understandable. And then like 5 years pass, and I was like, well, this is the new way the world kind of works, right? And then we just sort of adjust. I don't,
the adjustment is interesting there. Let's stick with that metaphor for a second, because
I think we're in the bargaining phase right now.
But it's not just that.
No,
then you had Lyft, which was a little better behaved and a little more like open about where the money came from. The drivers were like, I don't care, man. But still.
There was a point where they had like 5 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was funny. And sometimes they'd have multiple phones.
They have multiple phones, yeah.
Then there were the atrocity apps that the taxi-friendly companies would produce. And they'd be
They
like,
tried to get back in the game.
oh, and then it was so bad. It was just like, you just couldn't, it was like, you can pay, you just had to put your social security number
The ship
in.
had sailed. It was too late.
Well,
it was too late.
And the thing is what you actually saw is the gap was product. Like the
Yeah.
Uber and Lyft product teams, they're good. They get paid incredibly well. And then they'd be like, we can do that. We already have all the taxis, but that didn't matter.
Yeah.
Right. And I think, so let's analogize to where we are now, which is like, there's very little regulation. Things are a little bananas, and they have gone in, and they really have. They've just said, I'm going to help myself. Thank you.
You know what it is? Laws and enforcement of laws are just slow. It's too slow. And these companies, they know how to play, and they just let the beast out, and it's too late.
The bleak thing is that the timing for a good, solid, commons protected regulatory framework is not right now. Like today, that's just not.
It's a free for all.
We're not going to do.
Right
we are
now.
going to have drunken, smoking gorillas screaming all day, running the Department of Defense, and like that's kind of where we're at. And so,
let me ask you this: I mean, there's the looking back on, frankly, exploiting creative works to feed these LLMs, and it's happening without permission in a lot of cases. Let's be real. And then there's looking forward in terms of how, well, let me frame it in a question. As you look forward, put aside exploiting the past, but looking forward, do you see this change, this technology, as positive, as potentially something that is going to, like, good positive things will be born out of it?
I see it as a productivity tool more than anything else.
Okay.
I see it as the drafting table for the final product you want to make.
Okay.
I see it as something that should not be public facing in terms of like text and imagery and all that stuff. It shouldn't really be public facing. It's for
be a tool.
It's a tool. It's a concept. It's a conceptual tool in my opinion, and I think that's where it would shine the most. You want to be Stanley Kubrick. You want to go to Universal and be like, I need $10 million to make this movie or whatever. Here's what I think the movie's going to look like, and then you have your OpenAI Sora 5-minute pitch deck generated, and they go, cool, go, and then you hire your DP and your director and blah blah blah, and you go make your movie.
Well, what if you don't? What if you just go back to Sora?
Well, what are you pulling from? Because are you pulling from Kubrick's archives or whatever? And then he's like, do I get a cut of this?
No, you're not pulling from.
It would be very strange if you did that.
Well,
I am the future director. I am the future director of film. I'm just really good at prompts.
Okay, let me.
I want
hold
to
on.
react
No.
to this
I want
because someone's going to make a movie off of prompts.
No, but like the Kubrick thing is throwing us off.
Oh, the
here.
glasses came off.
Yeah, let me throw
props.
this back to you, which is cutscene in a video game.
Somebody's going to make that.
Somebody uses a tool that can actually do some 3D rendering, like
Speed
generate
tree.
the polygon speed tree, but coordinated with AI. It's like the boundaries are fuzzy.
I mean, sure, speed tree, but speed tree is a speed
That's
tree.
math.
It's math. It's
Not to the trees.
Little
It's
Fibonacci action.
Okay,
so you can sort of, if I were making a less than stellar argument, I'd be like speed tree is basically AI, but it's not.
Yeah.
AI is based on incorporated data, that is sort of measured and weighed differently and output based on your prompt.
Mm-hmm. Speed tree is a procedural algorithm for creating a bunch of trees.
Correct.
Yes.
And they use it for not speed tree, but there's procedural generation for levels, for like we're just saying mountains, whatever, blah blah blah. Like
it's like literally a database of like different kinds of trees.
I know, but I'm literally trying to imagine Patrick going to like a congressman and trying to explain this to them. I don't know if we have any hope for this level of differentiation.
Congressmen don't even know how email works.
They don't know how plumbing works.
Right. It's a series of tubes.
Yeah,
exactly.
So, like, I think that's definitely. I mean, the issue is that lack of technological literacy when it comes to the people making these regulations.
Yep.
So these companies, OpenAI and Anthropic and all these guys, they have the advantage. They've got the nerds and they've got the lawyers that are nerds, and you've got, this 80-year-old congressman who's like, when I check my email into OpenAI, what does it do?
Look, man, this is power and money kicking in. I mean, the big AI firms are going to have lobbyists.
Sure.
Are the small publishers and the writers going to have lobbyists? Probably not.
No.
Let me play. Let me.
I mean, but back to your
devil's advocate.
I'm going to add devil's advocate. Let me ask you something. I'm a writer.
You're really good.
Thank you. Oh, thank you.
He actually is a good.
Appreciate it. I've been writing for years, and my writing is really the sum of all the knowledge I've taken in reading other people's stuff. I've never plagiarized anything unless I put it in quotes.
I was thinking about this in the shower today.
Yeah. AI.
You're going to make this argument.
Yeah.
You're a morning shower guy.
I am.
Okay.
When do you shower?
Morning
I'm
brew.
a morning guy.
Morning brew, morning shower, morning coffee.
At night.
A lot of people shower at night because then the bed doesn't get messy.
Also, people go to the gym late.
Yeah, that's right. It's about the gym for me.
Cool. This is sponsored by Irish Spring.
That's right.
It's fine. It's not actually spitting back out what it learned. It's inspired by it.
That's great devil's advocacy.
No, it's inspired. I'm a writer. All of my writing is driven by and really a synthesis of all the knowledge I've taken in my life and the things I read and the people I talk to. Am I plagiarizing? Am I exploiting that knowledge? Is AI really doing that? It's not. It's inspired, for lack of a better word, by the knowledge it's taken in, and it's now putting out new artifacts that yes are inspired, right? Like just as a writer is copying Paul Ford's style, but not copying his words and stealing them.
Well, we have a word for that. It's called being derivative.
Okay.
I don't think the AI is being derivative. I think it is making calculations based on the input you give it with the prompt, with the data that it's using.
Yep.
With the weights that make it more or less. What did they say the other day? They made it less sycophantic.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It was getting real bad. ChatGPT.
Yeah.
It was just kissing ass.
It's going through it right now. Yeah.
So,
finish your thought. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So and it just it just reminds me of inspiration. You're reading a book, you're inspired.
Yeah.
That is not you running an algorithm in your brain. Although if you're the devil's advocate, you're going to be like the chemical reactions in your brain are kind of an algorithm or whatever. But like,
that is mocking devil advocate voice.
That is what. But that's what like AGI people love to say, stuff like that.
I mean, that's what. Yeah. I mean, that is their ultimate defense. Is AGI is that it is mimicking the thinking and reflection of the human mind, right? Like that is
basically alive. It's got a soul. Remember that guy from Google who got fired? He was like, the
AI
AI is alive.
There was a lot going on there.
Wait, what?
We'll talk about that some other time. It's not a comfortable subject. No, hold on.
But so that doesn't persuade you. You still have strong.
Not only are you not going to persuade Patrick, but actually, what I would say is, I actually want the editor. I don't agree with you on some of this stuff. Some of it I do. But I want the editor of my publication about this industry to be deeply suspicious. I actually think that's super valuable.
I agree.
And so, like,
I agree.
This filter that you're giving me, it's funny because, like, even though I don't necessarily agree,
what don't you agree with?
I think my line on generation is different. I think a lot of what you're saying does sort of accord, and I think that the hogs at the trough aspect of the companies is rough. And I'm really not surprised to hear that big organizations are building their own LLMs under kind of like with litigation.
Walled in. Yeah.
Litigation, people don't understand how much litigation runs the world that you're in. Like everyone is afraid of getting, they're vulnerable to being sued all the time in a way that somebody like typing stuff into ChatGPT never has to worry about. I think the utilities are broader. I think that these tools are really good at two things. Syntactic structural tasks like writing code or making outlines or to-do lists.
Sure.
And at bureaucratic tasks. They're really good at like, please, I need to be ISO 9001 certified. Look at these PDFs and tell me how to do that. Not the creative stuff to me, I almost see it as weirdly orthogonal because what I think will happen is nobody will want it. Like it's not, unless it's like really like specific.
There's already a sameness.
There is. It's the
uninspired.
glaze.
Yeah.
I think the
Very
word that's
shiny and latexy.
the word that's starting to show up is glaze, AI glaze, and I think that's real. It's just everything is like vibrating and smeary, and so like to me, I almost see like yes, there's this moral problem over here, but it's almost more of an aesthetic problem overall, and I just assume that humans will reject it because we get so easily bored anyway. So I'm like, don't even bother, but focus on the parts where it can actually make really boring things more efficient.
And that's the part about AI that I love. The
Yeah, me
part
too.
that makes the boring stuff more efficient. That make a draft, make an outline for me, check if I'm compliant. Like these are the things that we should be using it for. But the problem is like all of the attention, all the resources, both sort of computational and environmental, are going to these AI generating or text generating, video generating models.
Yeah.
That are so fraught with controversy and don't really give you anything interesting anymore. It's all homogenized.
I know, but VO2 gave me an image of a woman cradling a pygmy hippo that was really funny.
And it's so cute.
Yeah, I know.
It's
Okay,
adorable.
okay.
It's
All
not
right.
real though.
All right, so
And another thing is the contamination of actual real data, real images. If you type, goose on Google Images, are you sure that's a real goose? Or is that a real bird? You type like colorful bird in Google. You get it's all AI. It's all generated stuff.
Is
And
that
they're
true
all
in
fake
regular
birds.
Google search?
Yeah.
Like it's
Oh, yeah,
it's polluted.
this is the
it's
other
pollution.
aspect. This infinite recursive content generating polluting disaster.
It feeds on
Wait,
its
is
own
that because
pollution.
Google made the birds?
Everybody's
or did
making
Google
everything.
index other birds that were made that are not real birds?
All of the above. It's bad out there, man. It is a recursive garbage fest. The entire information commons is becoming a super fun site, and there's kind of nothing to be done except to me, I'm just like, let's ride it. Let's see what happens. Now look, we've run out of time. What do we want to know? Patrick can see more of the IT industry than we can. What do you want to know?
Well, I am in IT. I was about to say I'm not in IT, but I am in IT.
No, we are. in IT.
What's the advice you'd give someone in IT? In the context of everything we're talking about and the way the world's changing.
And they're trying to figure out what to do about AI, and they're trying to figure out what to do next.
I would just say learn. Like learn
No,
as
come
much
on
as you
now.
can.
Come
I'm
on.
sorry.
Learn what?
Sorry. Learn how to operate without AI and learn how to operate with AI, because the problem that I see, that I foresee in the next couple of years. I've got siblings going to college. One left college.
Younger,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
My partner, college professor. Every time she comes from class looking at these papers, half of these are generated,
Yeah,
because
we're
when you
hearing
do a
about this.
real in-person test or you hand them a piece of paper and tell them to write it, it's nonsense
That's bad stuff.
compared to the docx file they put on Blackboard or whatever. which is
Scary.
Right. And there's going to be a lack of, you see it, the atrophying of society in a sense, the atrophying of technical skills. I've had interviews with like CSOs, and I'm like, what is the future of AI? What is the future of the worker as they relate to AI? And they're like, well, they don't really need to be as skilled as they are now because AI will handle the rest. And I'm like, that sounds like a terrible idea.
It is real. Like it's like imagine
That sounds
how
like the worst idea imaginable.
imagine how different America would be if everybody would just read one more book, just one more.
I mean, let's dream.
Yeah, that would be 300 million more books that were
Yeah.
read.
We're out of time. I think it raises an interesting question about Is the horse left the barn here in a lot of ways? I don't know. I mean, I think what you're saying when you say learn, it was interesting when you clarified it, which is like learn how not to use it, meaning essentially go build some actual skills and use your own muscles
and use the AI tool, like I said, as a sort of conceptual aid, to draft your ideas.
The wacky thing is, it'll do a good job of teaching you.
Sure.
If you want to learn some of the skills.
Yeah.
It's really,
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, this is why I keep learning piano, even though I'm really bad at it.
Yeah.
I could also just go listen to music. But.
Yeah.
All right.
Patrick, thanks so much. Really interesting conversation.
Yeah,
if someone wanted to get in touch with you, thank you. If somebody wanted to get in touch with you, how could they reach out?
They shouldn't do that.
Okay.
But if they wanted to, they could, I guess you can email me.
Okay.
That works.
Yeah, you can email me at patrickandmorningbrew.com. I'm on Blue Sky. I'm on Instagram.
They should subscribe.
Where I'm at.
They
should
subscribe.
I mean, frankly, you should subscribe to IT Brew.
And the thing is, if they want to reach you, they can literally just hit reply to the newsletter.
I get it.
Yeah.
I check
cool.
it.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that's nice. Yeah. So subscribe to IT Brew.
Very cool.
Yeah. You know.
Well, thank you for coming on. Will you come on again sometime?
Oh, absolutely.
All right,
Happy to
good,
be here.
Good. Well,
This is the Aboard podcast, Paul.
it really is. It's the Aboard podcast.
Now, what's that mean?
Well, Aboard, thank you for asking. Aboard is a platform that uses AI to accelerate software development, frankly, along a lot of the patterns you just outlined, the good ones. Like it helps you get everything started, but the last mile is still really carefully crafted human software.
Yeah.
And so, because we feel the same thing, which is you just can't trust AI with your whole world.
Yeah.
And so...
check us out, aboard.com.
New website coming soon. We're doing an event really soon. We'll announce it in our newsletter, so you should sign up for that. It's on June 3rd at our office at 215 Park Avenue South. You are invited. Let us know if you want to come. And where we're going to launch and show some new stuff and maybe even just build some software for people when they show up.
Give us 5 stars.
Oh, God, I love stars. And
Click on that.
Patrick, thank you for coming in.
Thank you, Patrick.
Yeah, happy to be here. Check out itbrew.com. I'm just going to keep trying to look at, is this my camera? Is this my camera?
There you go. Camera? There's your camera.
Check out itbrew.com, your #1 IT and cybersecurity B2B publication. We publish newsletters 4 days a week. We have a great team of reporters, and we're only getting better. All right, I'm done.
It's got the goofiest headlines, too. It's so good. All right.
Thanks, Patrick.
Thank you.
Have a good week, Paul.
Outro time.